Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kristen and I'm super happy to have you guys here. So a while ago I made a video on what's in my hospital bag from a mom-baby nurse perspective. And fast forward a few months, I have a 2-month-old now. But I was kind of going over everything that I brought with me in my hospital bag and kind of wanted to give you guys like a follow-up video. So I did end up having a C-section, and so it changed a little bit, like the things that I brought versus what I would have brought had I known I was having a C-section. And also I wanted to give you guys a perspective with like the COVID lens on it, because I did not have COVID, but just because of the pandemic, things are a little bit different right now. I'm going to actually go through my hospital bag video that I made a few months back and share with you guys what I did use from it and what I did not use from it, and then also what I wish I would have brought. So yeah, let's go along and see what I did use and what I did not. Okay, so I'll be completely honest with you, this tumbler would have been super helpful except for the fact that it's COVID and they actually don't let you go fill up your cups by yourself. So McKay couldn't go fill up my cup for me. And they will only fill up your hospital tumbler that they give you, or they'll bring you like disposable cups. So it's just a sanitary thing to like decrease risk of spreading germs through your cups. So that's something I would have not brought had I realized that with the COVID restrictions, you are only allowed to use your hospital cup or disposable cups. Okay, so this nightgown, I ended up actually bringing like an older, less cute nightgown because I was thinking about it and realized you're basically bleeding the whole time you're in the hospital and you probably don't want to bring your super cute pajamas. That being said, I wish I would have brought more like old comfy clothes because I had to walk around post C-section like in the hospital hallways, and I really had hardly anything to wear for that. And normally you don't like do that as much when you have a vaginal, but with a C-section, it's part of like being able to go home, is showing that you can get up and walk around. So I wish I would have brought more old like comfy hangout clothes, and this is actually something I didn't end up bringing as far as like cute pajamas goes. So kind of an edit on this tip: leave your really cute pajamas at home, just bring comfortable stuff that you can hang out in and you don't worry if they get like some blood on them or something like that. Okay, so one of the comments on this video that I got was that leggings were a really bad idea if you were going to have a C-section. And funny thing is, I actually did bring leggings for my going home outfit and they were perfect. So maybe it just depends on the type of leggings that you have. My leggings were not super restrictive. They were really stretchy, thin, and comfortable and kind of lightweight. And then I ended up actually bringing a cute like sweater for my going home outfit, but it was the same type of thing as this shirt, just stretchy and lightweight and comfortable. So this ended up being perfect, and I would continue to recommend leggings and some kind of like oversized top for a good going home outfit, whether you have a C-section or a vaginal birth. The next item was my nursing cover, and I did end up using this, so I'm glad I brought it. If nobody was in the room but me and my husband, then I wouldn't worry about it. But when nurses came in, or like I had a male nursing student come in, which is really funny because I literally had a male nursing student on my last delivery. So I don't know if it's like the nurse curse, but I can't get away from male nursing students while I'm in the hospital, and it's not a big deal, but you do still kind of want to preserve a little bit of dignity. And so I did end up bringing this, using it, and I would highly recommend it. Okay, so a fan. I brought this last time I had a baby, used it the entire time I was there, but it was June. So the way that my like going into labor worked, I was in a little bit of a hurry and I didn't end up packing the fan inside my suitcase because it didn't fit. So I just said, oh, just screw it. Like, I'm just not going to worry about that. And I didn't bring the fan and I was fine. And I think it's because it was November. And so I was perfectly like okay with my temperature, and I really didn't need that fan. So I would say if you run hot and you're delivering a baby in like the summer months, then bring a fan. And if it's going to be cold when you're delivering, then leave it at home. I always like to think that I'm going to have time to read or watch a movie or something like fun while I'm just like happily waiting for my baby to progress and enjoying my epidural. That has so far been 0 out of 2 times. So with my first baby, Henry, I thought that I would have all this time because with your first, you're supposed to take like 20 hours to deliver your baby. And I'd worked in labor and delivery before as like a nursing student, and I've seen so many deliveries, and I just like, you just know how it goes. It just takes a long time. But my water broke with him at 4:45 in the morning, and I ended up having him by like 1 p.m. It was super fast for a first baby. So I didn't even have time to think about reading a book because, you know, the nurses are in there checking on you so often. And when you progress that fast, like you really don't have time to read a book. So this time I'm like, okay, well, maybe it will be different this time. I'll go ahead and bring some entertainment with me. Yeah, I didn't touch any of that once. And here's why. I went into labor at midnight on a Friday night, and I basically went straight into 45-second apart contractions. It was insane. I could barely like breathe through them. So we finally get to the hospital around like 2 a.m. and then I basically was in insane amounts of pain, and they could not get an IV in me. It took them about an hour to get an IV in me. And when they finally did, it was the anesthesiologist that had to do it. So they had to like pull out the big guns for me. I have really crappy veins. And so they finally get the IV in me, and he gives me like a loading dose of epidural, which basically is like a bigger than normal dose. And it's perfectly safe. It's just to help with the amount of pain that I was in, to like really get me in a good spot. But my body decided to respond poorly to that. And like I said, it was 0 negligence on the hospital's part. Like it was a perfectly safe dose. It's just every once in a while, bodies will not like that. So basically my blood pressure decided to tank, and the medication that they typically give to raise it up really didn't work for a while. And basically they were trying to get my blood pressure back up for a long time. And then Ethan's heart rate kept dropping because of that. So, you know, basically everything that happens to my body is going to affect him. And so it was just a really crazy spiral of events, and I felt so crappy. Like I felt like I was dying. I'm not kidding. It felt like something was wrong, and I was just like in this panicked like place. So finally they said, okay, it's really like time to probably have a C-section. So we did that, and I got to the hospital at 2 a.m. and he was delivered at 5:09 a.m. So I think I'm gonna start leaving entertainment at home because I'm pretty sure that I'm cursed when I bring it. So anyways, basically I would recommend bringing something to entertain you because a lot of people have a different experience than me. But for me, I brought my books, and I didn't end up reading any of them. So there you go. Okay, so for like toiletries and hygiene items, definitely bring those. I did use those. I honestly really wanted to put makeup on like earlier because I felt like I would just feel a little bit better and feel more alive. You really, after a C-section like I had, I just felt horrible. So I would have liked to have put makeup on, but honestly, I did not have any time. Like I felt, and I had 0 energy. I just like felt like I was gonna die. It was awful. So I did put makeup on to go home, and it felt really nice to have a little bit of makeup on for that. And definitely bring like your deodorant, makeup wipes, all that stuff. For sure, bring basic toiletry items. They just don't have those at the hospital. And if you want to feel like you're a little more put together, go ahead and bring makeup. If you don't care, leave it at home. Okay, flip-flops are a must. Like I definitely used those the entire time I stayed in the hospital. I walked around in them. I do not let my feet touch the hospital floor, and that's because I've worked in the hospital and I know how many disgusting things live on those floors. So yes, of course they clean your rooms and they sanitize your rooms, but it still makes me feel better, and anybody who's worked in the hospital will tell you the same thing. So I would definitely recommend bringing flip-flops, and especially for the showers there, because they're just kind of gross. And just grab like a $3 pair from Old Navy and have those ready to go. So that was perfect for me. I'm super glad that I brought those. Okay, so I definitely would say bring snacks. Like we did not bring enough. And with COVID, they have some snacks in the hospital, but you can't go out and get them yourself. You have to ask the nurse to bring them to you. And I just hate like bugging them because I've literally worked in mom baby and I know how crazy it gets. And so I would recommend bringing snacks because COVID makes it hard to go get snacks. from like the little storeroom they have. And when you're nursing, and especially like right after you've had a baby, you're just starving. Like I find that for about 2 weeks after I have a baby, I like feel like I cannot get full. I'm so hungry, and your body is just like going through so many changes and working on producing and like getting your milk supply up, and so you really will be starving. And so bring snacks with you for sure. Specifically, you guys have heard me talk about this. Cera Ve is the best stuff in the world. My hands are always dry, and they're so dry right now in the winter time. So I definitely use this all the time, and it's so much better than any lotion that you'll get at the hospital. Okay, so for medications, now I have to say I have worked Mom Baby before, and I was unaware of this policy, but the hospital I delivered at had a policy that you could not take any of your home medications. But I don't know if every hospital is like that. So check with your hospital before you take your own medications. They have the rules in place because if you were to take something that the hospital wasn't aware of or wasn't tracking, then you were to like go unconscious or something, and all of a sudden they had to treat you in an emergent situation. They don't know like what you've been on or what you haven't been on or what's affected you and stuff like that. So it makes sense, but I do still think it's important to be aware of how expensive these medications are and how like priced up some of the things in the hospital are, because I just don't think a lot of people are aware. And I actually did end up taking my own prenatal vitamins while I was there, even though I wasn't really supposed to, but the nurses are supposed to offer you a prenatal every single morning. You're supposed to stay on a prenatal while you're nursing your baby because of all the vitamins that it gives you and the iron. And they never once offered me a prenatal vitamin. So I worked that job, and I know you're supposed to give me a prenatal vitamin. So anyways, it's fine. I get like that they're swamped and busy, and I had really good care, but that was something that just never ever got done for the entire 3 days I was there. So I'm glad I brought my own, because I could have asked them for it, but again, I saved a chunk of money taking my own. But again, I wouldn't recommend doing this because, like I said, if there was some kind of crazy emergency, it's important for the nurses to be aware of what you're taking. So check with your hospital about their policy on that. So I brought things thinking I was going to have a vaginal delivery, like witch hazel or Tux, and I actually had a C-section. So I didn't end up needing any of that. And as far as having a C-section goes and stuff you can bring yourself, not much. Like you can bring like a belly band if you have one of those to help like give you support, but generally you can get one prescribed from the hospital, or honestly, like when you're first recovering from that, you just don't want anything touching your incision. So I would say hold off on that honestly till you get home. But yeah, there wasn't really much I could have brought as far as like for my actual specific C-section, and I really didn't need like the Tux or the dermoplast because I wasn't hurting down there. So I was hurting somewhere else. I highly, highly, highly recommend bringing your own pillows. People think that I'm going crazy bringing my own pillows. I am not. It is the best choice you could make going into the hospital. It's just so much more comfortable. We brought like 3 or 4 pillows because my husband slept on the really hard couch they have right next to you for like 3 nights. The pillows they have in the hospital are not fluffy. They're just like flat and hard and firm, and they're awful. So bring your own pillows. It will be like heavenly, especially because the little bits that you do get to sleep are like sacred. So you want to be comfortable. And I definitely use the hand sanitizer I brought like 24/7. So I would say out of everything I brought, like pillows and hand sanitizer were like the most important. So for sure bring that, especially during COVID and just to keep everything clean. Okay, so for baby clothes, I'm really glad I brought a lot. I ended up using a good amount of it, but I knew I wasn't going to use all of it in the first place because I didn't know what size my baby would be. I brought everything from preemie clothes to like 0 to 3 months because, you know, if you've got a 12-pound baby, you're going to be in 0 to 3 months, but if you've got a 6-pound baby, you're going to be in preemies. So I should have known I was going to have a small baby because Henry was 6'12", and Ethan ended up being just a few ounces bigger. He was 6'15", and so I used the preemie stuff. I used all the preemie stuff I brought. I didn't use the newborn stuff, and I didn't use the 0 to 3 month stuff. So I probably brought about like 7 outfits, and I used 4 of them. So I was really happy I brought like a good selection. I would for sure bring enough for at least 1 or 2 in a day because newborns like have blowouts, they get messy, they spit up. So we ended up changing his clothes a couple of times like each day. And then along with that, I did take some pictures with his little elephant. So I'm glad I brought that. And I brought 2 Swaddles, actually brought 3 Swaddles. I ended up using all of them. Honestly, I wish I would have brought one more. It might seem excessive, but he kept pooping all over everything, and then they got blood on it from doing some of his labs, and so they just got kind of messy, and I honestly could have used one more. So I would stick to, yeah, bringing about 4 outfits and 4 swaddles for a newborn if you like putting them in your own clothes, which I think is super fun. I did not use socks. They just don't stay on their feet when they're that tiny. So I ended up just keeping him like nice and swaddled, and I didn't really use socks. They were huge on his little feet. So you can take those or leave those. Yeah, the onesies were great too because I was able to layer those with the pajamas, so he was extra warm and toasty and didn't need as much as far as like blankets goes. And then I did use this lotion. It was super great. I love it. I use it for my 2-year-old still, and I used it ever since he was born. It smells so good. It's the lavender Johnson & Johnson's baby lotion, and it's the best. It smells way better than regular baby lotion. And so I would recommend bringing this. Ethan's skin was so dry when he was born. It's really typical of newborns to have dry, flaky skin. So bring some good lotion because they just don't have baby lotion like this at the hospital. And I definitely use this butt paste as well. You can get it prescribed like at the hospital, but I don't actually think they do that on regular healthy babies. Like we used it in the NICU all the time. It's not called the same thing, but it's basically the same ingredients. So yeah, get the Boudreaux's butt paste, butt paste, whatever it's called, the butt paste. So Ethan had like the meconium for the first day or so, and then it turned into like the yellow, seedy breast milk poop. So that butt paste saved his little bum, and I'm glad I brought it. Okay, I will say I didn't end up using the burp cloths that I brought because they have like the hospital ones that they constantly have with the baby, and honestly I just use like blankets. I just kind of use whatever. So you could bring those. I really didn't use them this time, so I probably would leave those home next time or just bring like one. And I definitely did not wear my nursing bra. We had no visitors in the hospital because it was just us. It's COVID. You can't even have visitors, even if you want visitors to come. Yeah, so I actually didn't end up wearing my nursing bra until like the day I went home, just because I was constantly feeding him, and it's just me and McKay in the room. Like, who cares? Okay, so a few things that I wish I would have brought. I completely spaced it, and I forgot to bring my pumping bra, which was so sad. I finally got it like the last day. My mother-in-law grabbed it, and my husband met her and picked it up, which was super helpful. But I always pump when I have a baby, even if I'm nursing. My first didn't really nurse well, so I had to pump every 3 hours with him, and then I was giving him like bottles of pumped milk. And yeah, and then I just decided, because Ethan was nursing really well when he was born, but I didn't want to risk having any trouble with my milk coming in or building up my supply, so I went ahead and pumped like, I don't know, every 4 to 5 hours while I was in the hospital, or more frequent if Ethan was going longer between feedings. So I went ahead and pumped in the hospital to make sure that I could establish a good milk supply, and I totally forgot my pumping bra. So for 2 out of the 3 days, I was having to hold it there, which is a pain because you can't do anything else while you're pumping. So bring a pumping bra, and I talked about that in my last video on Amazon mommy must-haves. So you can go to that video. I'll link it below if you want to check out that nursing bra. I also wish I would have brought his car seat cover. I completely forgot it. I have this nice like stretchy cover that goes over the car seat, and it's really great for when you bring them home because you can protect them from like germs as you're going out of the hospital and just keep them warm, especially because it was so cold when we walked out of the hospital. We ended up just using a blanket to kind of cover him while we were walking out into the cold air. But bring a car seat cover, bring a pumping bra, bring lots of snacks. Oh, and then obviously because it's COVID, bring a mask. And I did bring one and used it, you know, when people would come in the room. And I didn't end up using my curling iron. I think I used my straightener just for the day I went home. But honestly, like, I already said before, it was optional. It's not a must. I just liked the idea of being able to like feel human again and do my hair and makeup, but I really like had such a crazy intense experience, and I felt so horrible. That was the last thing on my mind. So if you have a great like easy delivery and you're feeling okay, then you might actually want to do your hair and makeup. For me, I really didn't until the very last day, just to go home, and I did it pretty minimally. I spent maybe 15 minutes on all of it. So, all right. And I'm super glad I used this nice compact carry-on. It was so much better than bringing like a duffel bag or a hospital bag, I would highly recommend it. I will definitely do it next time. I did bring like one other little tote bag because I couldn't quite fit everything in there, but I fit all of Ethan's stuff and all of my stuff in my bag and the tote. So we also brought all of our pillows, and then McKay had a little carry-on and we had a blanket. So we still had a good amount of stuff, but I definitely used, I would say, 80% of what I brought. So I think I did pretty good. If I had known I was having a C-section, I would have tweaked a couple of things like I talked about. And then I wish I would have brought the car seat cover, pumping bra, and more food. But yeah, other than that, like, I think I did pretty good. And I hope this video helped, especially for any of you moms who are about to have a baby. If you watched my previous one, this one's a really good addendum because it gives you like a real experience right after I had a baby of what I actually use versus not. And also, most of the things I talked about here are going to be helpful whether you have a vaginal birth or a C-section. But this is kind of like nice to be able to talk about what I actually use versus not, having had a C-section during the pandemic and in the winter months. So anyways, thank you guys so much for watching as always. I really appreciate the support you guys give me. Go ahead and like this video below. Go ahead and subscribe to my channel, Kristen Perkins, if you haven't already. And I produce mom content every week, Tuesday, 10 a.m. So click that red bell if you guys want to be notified of new content, and I will see you next time. Bye!